Tonight on First at 9, warning private hospitals. Health Minister warns private hospitals which do not follow the price ceiling for dengue tests.
First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
Also making headlines tonight, meeting the Prime Minister. GMOA cancels the strike action and proposed names for Sri Lanka Medical Council top position. President in Bangladesh. President Maithripala Sirisena receives a grand welcome at the Dhaka International Airport. Velikada shooting. IGP wants investigations to be conducted by CID in the 2012 incident where 27 inmates were killed. Trump and Putin. US President Donald Trump reveals what he discussed with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Live across Sri Lanka, this is Other Derana 24/7. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Tonight we begin with the latest on the dengue situation. The dengue epidemic has emerged a major health crisis across Sri Lanka. Almost half the amount of dengue cases reported this year are from the Western province, which begs the question as to whether Sri Lanka would be driven into an economic and social crisis if the current situation is not tackled immediately. Not many of those affected by this deadly epidemic were able to afford charges for necessary laboratory tests. However, the Ministry of Health sets a ceiling price for full blood count and dengue antigen tests, specially targeting private hospitals, laboratories and clinics. Tonight, Other Derana takes a look whether these health institutions adhere to the regulations.
The dengue epidemic has claimed over 230 lives just this year, and the epidemiology unit of the Health Ministry say that almost 90,000 dengue cases were reported so far this year. With a view to control the dire health impact the country is currently facing, on the 9th of July, the Health Ministry set a ceiling price for the 2 blood tests required to identify whether the dengue virus is transmitted to the human body. Accordingly, all private hospitals, laboratories and clinics were directed to charge only 250 rupees for the test of full blood count and 1,000 rupees for the antigen test. Minister of Health Dr. Rajda Senaratne also instructed that test results be issued within half an hour of venipuncture.
We regulated the prices for full blood count for dengue and also the antigen test for dengue. So it was about 750 rupees. We brought down to 250 rupees the maximum, and the antigen test was over 3,000 rupees. We brought down to 1,000 rupees. That was a reasonable price. After 1 month, they tried to withdraw this one, but we warned them again, and we told them to start it immediately to implement our regulations to do the fasting blood count for 250 rupees and the antigen test for 1,000 rupees.
Despite government's clear instructions, Other Derana discovered that a private medical clinic in Angoda was continuing to charge prices on their own accord.
check කරන්න පුළුවන් කීයද ගන්න 320 එතකොට මේ ඇන්ටිජන් ටෙස්ට් එක ඇන්ටිජන් එක 1170යි FBC එක 320යි ඒක 250යි නේද ගන්න ඕන
third party නේ අපි මේ හින්දා අපි මෙහෙන් percentage එකක් ඇඩ් කරලා තමයි ගන්න. එහෙම හරි. ඔයාලා දන්නවද ගාන මේක කීයද කියලා? ඒ කියන්නේ මේ full blood count එකකට ගාන. 250. ඔව්. ඒකට ඉතුරු ගාන වැඩියෙන් ඔය මිනිස්සුන්ට කියනවා මෙච්චරක් වැඩියෙන් ගන්නවා කියලා. ඔව්. දැන් මට කිව්වේ නෑනේ. ඉතින් ඒක දන්නවනේ නිවුස් වලින් එන හැමෝම කියලා දෙනවා. තම අපේ දැන් සිරින්ජස් මේ බඩු ඔක්කොම මෙහෙන් යන්නේ. ඒකට අපිට පාඩුවක් නෙවෙන්නේ. ඉතින් කියලා තියෙන්නේ අපේ ගාන ඇඩ් කරලා ගන්න.
When Other Derana inquired government's actions to prevent such private medical institutions charging patients unreasonably in the backdrop of government set regulations, the health minister warned that they would blacklist particular health institutes.
I have sent my teams from the flying squad from the health ministry. If we to punish, actually we will have to blacklist them.
The joint opposition charged that the government is concealing the true number of dengue cases as the number has exceeded 400,000. UPFA parliamentarian Prasanna Ranatunga made the remarks today at a media briefing.
Dengue me sankhya lekana boru.
Statistics related to dengue are false. According to the statistics we receive, there are more than 400,000 dengue patients in the country. The whole society is scared, just like how it was back when there was war and terrorism.
කාලේ වගේම අද ඩෙන්ගු නිසා මුළු රටම කැළඹිලා තියෙන තත්ත්වයක්.
Government Medical Officers Association acknowledges that they received a positive response to the Saitam issue during a discussion with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at Temple Trees last night. Meanwhile, addressing media at the Kandy Teaching Hospital, Minister of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine, Dr. Rajitha Senaratne said that Saitam will not be taken over by the government. The Government Medical Officers Association held discussions with the Prime Minister last night. Minister of Health was also present. The Prime Minister clearly asked what should be done. GMOA appreciated the response of Minister Rajitha. The Prime Minister said that Professor Carlo Fonseca should clarify whether he would remain in his position at Sri Lanka Medical Council or not. He directed the relevant officials to legalize basic qualifications for medical education. In this backdrop, we do not think that there is a necessity to take immediate trade union action since the reaction of the Prime Minister is positive.
වෛද්‍ය සංගමය ඉදිරිපත් කරවා ලියු ඉල්ලක්.
The GMOA presented a letter with their demands. There is a little difference between those and my cabinet suggestions, and they agreed to them as well. They did not suggest Professor Carlo Fonseca as chairman of the Medical Council. Among the suggested names are a former president of SLMC, a chairman of a private hospital, and a member of the board of directors at another private hospital. We decided to choose someone good for the position.
ඉතින් අපි බලලා හොඳ කෙනෙක් අපි ඒකටත් පත් කිරීමට කතා කරගත්තා.
In other headline stories, President Maithripala Sirisena arrived at the Dhaka International Airport on a 3-day state visit at the invitation of Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. President Sirisena was received at the airport by President of Bangladesh, Mohammad Abdul Hamid. President Maithripala Sirisena and the delegation left for Bangladesh, marking his maiden visit to the country after assuming office. President Sirisena was accorded a guard of honor with 21 gun salutes. The objective of this visit is to strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. He will hold discussions with Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina tomorrow, focusing on ways to enhance cooperation in the fields of maritime, education, tourism, fisheries and health, as well as ways to promote two-way investment and trade. During the President's visit, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh are expected to sign several agreements in the fields of agriculture, education, training of diplomats, and immigration and immigration. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the government will embark on confidence-building measures before implementing laws on human rights. The Premier added that the government is looking forward to constructively discuss matters relating to missing persons during the current visit of Special UN Envoy Ben Emerson. He made these remarks at the SAARC meeting of ministers hosted in Colombo today.
The inauguration ceremony of the 8th SAARC Interior and Home Ministers meeting took place under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today. Interior and Home Ministers of the SAARC region will discuss subjects on terrorism, drugs, human smuggling and cross-border relations within the region during the two-day meeting.
We find that merely bringing an armed conflict to an end is not the means of ending terrorism. So you need time to get together. We are addressing the issues of the missing persons. These are difficult ones. There has to be confidence-building measures before you get into it. There are some who think you pass the laws and you enforce human rights. Okay, we want human rights, but it cannot take place without the confidence-building measures that are there. Today we have one of the rapporteurs here in Colombo. More than happy to meet them, to explain to them.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe also touched on incidents of extremism reported in the country.
Those who try to bring up the politics of extremism, of race, of religion are not finding the support, and those who try to use extremism are sometimes now brought before the courts of law and action taken. So these are essential building blocks.
Meanwhile, Minister of Law and Order Sagda Ratnayaka also addressed the event.
Sri Lanka in the meantime has taken a further step, and this is to revamp its legislation. In Sri Lanka, of course, there are new contemporary threats that we have to tackle in addition to the older conflicts, and that is one motivation behind replacing the Prevention of Terrorism Act with a new Counter-Terrorism Act. Of course, it is unlikely that a pluralistic community like Sri Lanka's, with the history it has gone through, will ever agree on a uniform definition on the term terrorism, which was one of the primary challenges in drafting the bill. A fine balance has to be achieved to develop legislation which is compatible with human rights norms and standards.
Welcome back, everyone. Minister of Hill Country, New Villages, Infrastructure and Community Development, Palani Digambaram, says that he will not allow the use of glyphosate as a weed killer in the estate sector. Speaking to media today, he expressed these views on the matter.
The president warned that glyphosate causes kidney diseases, but I read in a newspaper that glyphosate is still being used in the estate sector. As a minister and a union leader, I am strongly against this. Though Minister Navin Dissanayake proposes the use of glyphosate in the estate sector, we will decide whether to use it or not. We will not allow glyphosate to be used in the estates.
The Criminal Investigation Department launched an investigation into the Valikada prison riot in 2012 on the instructions on Inspector General of Police Pujitha Jayasundara. Police media spokesperson Superintendent of Police Ruwan Gunasekara stated on the matter, releasing a media statement today. 27 inmates died and 40 were injured during the shootout between police and inmates at the Valikada prison on November 9, 2012. The clash broke out during an unexpected search operation conducted by officers of the Special Task Force. Minister of Justice and Buddha Sasana, Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, appointed a 3-member committee chaired by retired High Court Judge Wima Nambuwasam to investigate the incident. The committee report was handed over to Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe on the 9th of June last year. The recommendation suggests that steps be taken to initiate fresh criminal investigations into the matter that were not being taken into consideration, with a special focus on alleged violation corresponding to torture and matters that constitutes an offence under the Penal Code in relation to conduct of a public servant. The committee was of the view that recommended criminal investigations should be conducted by a special team of investigators under the direct command of the IGP. In more local stories, Chairman of the Pavidihana organisation, Venerable Muruthetwe Ananda Theras, warns the government that if the state continues on a path against the aspirations of the people, a massive Bhikkhu conference will be summoned by the Mahasangha. The Venerable Thera made these remarks at a media briefing held in Colombo today. We have never heard of an instance where collection tills of the temples were sealed by the government. Government should stop these anti-public activities. Otherwise, we will hold a massive Bhikkhu conference in Colombo to protest against the government with the permission of the most venerable chief prelates. Meanwhile, Education Minister Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, issuing a statement to the media, says that while the government is taking necessary measures to preserve and honour the Buddhist heritage of the country, some are attempting in misleading the public. The minister also adds that some are trying to define the government's decision to temporarily close the Dambulla Cave temple for preservation as a revenge on the Mahasangha's recent statement. The minister continues to add that his ministry has always acted within the legal framework and nothing has been done against the law. Now let's take a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka. The leader of the Pivithuru Helaurumiya, Uday Gammanpila, says the arrest of former Navy media spokesperson DKP Dasanayake is wrong.
ඊයේ දවසේ පදනම් විරහිත චෝදනා නගමින් අත්අඩංගුවට ගත්.
He was arrested on baseless accusations. He became a victim of the present government's desire to hunt down war heroes. He was a senior officer with Rana Vikrama, Rana Shura and Uttama Seva honours. He has never been accused of anything during his service to the country. Only 6 Navy officials have been felicitated for skills in the battlefield, and he is one of them. He has also been felicitated by 2 presidents and 4 Navy commanders. He was arrested for a case which he knows nothing about. This has been done for the requirements of Tamil separatists.
United Nations Special Envoy on Human Rights and Counterterrorism Ben Emerson met High Court judges in the Northern Province at the Vaunia Court Complex last evening. High Court judges said that issues relating to human rights in the province were discussed. Ben Emerson launched his first mission to Sri Lanka on Monday to gather first-hand information on Sri Lanka in the area of counter-terrorism and assess how they affect the promotion and protection of human rights. Government Surveyors Association launched a continuous strike today demanding 6 requests, including the cancellation of their pension. President of the association, Duminda Udugoda, said that they decided to launch the strike since the government did not respond to the token strike launched recently. An amnesty was granted to Sri Lankans working illegally in South Korea to leave the country. The Bureau of Foreign Employment stated that the amnesty will be in effect from the 10th of this month to the 10th of October. The Hardy Advanced Technological Institute in Ampara was closed down until further notice due to a tense situation that arose after a clash between students. Many students of the institute had been hospitalized following the incident, while others were arrested by police. The Sri Lankan Navy arrested 7 Indian fishermen along with 2 fishing trawlers engaged in bottom trawling in Sri Lankan waters off Delf Island. The arrest was made by officials attached to the Northern Naval Command aboard 2 fast-track crafts. The arrested fishermen were handed over to Jaffna Assistant Director of Fisheries for further legal action. Let's move on to business news now. The chairman of the Board of Investments, Attorney at Law Upul Jayasuriya, resigned from his post today. He handed over his resignation to the President's Secretary this morning. Attorney at Law Upul Jayasuriya was appointed as BOI chairman by President Maithripala Sirisena in 2015. Central Bank of Sri Lanka says it expects a further fall in Treasury bill yields due to less pressure from government borrowings and the proposed new auction system. Deputy Governor of Central Bank Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe told this to Reuters yesterday. The yield on the benchmark 364-day T-bill dropped 66 basis points since April 21st from a near 4-year high of 11.11%, despite central bank raising its key policy rate by 2.5 basis points in March this year. Yields on 182-day and 91-day T-bills have also fallen 53 basis points and 13 basis points respectively during the same period. Dr. Weerasinghe told Reuters, "We expect it will continue because there is no pressure in terms of maturity, and also the government has a buffer in terms of external financing." Let's take you to the stock market now. Stocks were lower after the close today as losses in the construction and engineering, palm oil and healthcare sectors led shares lower. At the close in Colombo, the CSE All Share lost 0.11%. Now here is Imeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange with the roundup of the day's events.
Top 5 gainers of the day were PC Pharma, Blue Diamonds, Non-Voting, Central Investments and Finance, Horna Plantations, Madul Sima Plantations, while the top 5 losers were Lucky Lanka, Non-Voting, SNB Leasing, Adam Capital, Ceylon Leather Products and Standard Capital.
The Sri Lankan rupee fell slightly today. The spot rupee was trading at 153 rupees and 75 cents to 80 cents per dollar, compared with Wednesday's close of 153 rupees and 65 to 75 cents. Now here's a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies during the day today. Minister of Petroleum Resources Development Arjuna Ranatunga says investigations should be launched to discover the truth regarding the outcome of the 2011 Cricket World Cup final. The minister expressed these views reacting to the statement made by former Sri Lankan skipper Kumar Sangakkara.
Speaking to the media yesterday, former cricket captain Kumar Sangakkara reacted to the accusations that the personal managers are influencing the players. Meanwhile, Minister of Petroleum Resources Development Arjuna Ranatunga reacted to the statement made by Sangakkara today.
There should be inquiries for the World Cup final in 2011 as well. These instances should be investigated. The Minister of Sports should implement these. They should investigate the reason for losing these matches, not about missing catches or physical fitness of the players. I was a commentator during matches in India. I felt disappointed and had suspicions. I do not like to comment on that. I will speak about it with the facts in the future. I do not want to condemn a player, therefore I will speak about it at the appropriate moment. Some are trying to protect their agents. The senior players are introducing the juniors to the managers at the beginning. I want to say that people who are in the glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Well, Sri Lanka's way to record their first win at the ICC ongoing ICC World Cup, Women's World Cup continues as they lost to South Africa for 8 wickets yesterday. The result leaves them 7th in the points table, a place above Pakistan.
Sri Lankan women won the toss and elected to bat first. They started to 101 runs all out, with the highest individual contribution being just 25 runs. Dan van Niekerk was the pick of the bowlers for South African women as she grabbed 4 wickets for 24 runs in 8 overs. Chasing a victory target of 102, South Africa made little work of the task as they galloped to victory in just 23.1 over. With 8 wickets in hand, Laura Woolward was the star with the bat for them as the opener posted an unbeaten 48.
A much cooler day.
Meanwhile, Australia beat India by 8 wickets to go second in the point table. Batting first, India put on 226 runs for the loss of 7 wickets in their 50 overs. Opener Poonam Raut's knock of 106 runs was the highlight of the innings. In reply, Australian women crossed over the finish line with ease as they scored 227 runs in 45.1 overs, losing just 2 wickets. Host England was also on form as they crushed New Zealand by 75 runs to go top of the point table at the ICC Women's World Cup. They are tied on 5 wins each with Australia but has a superior net run rate.
Her third. New Zealand are all out.
Let's take you to Wimbledon now. Defending champion Andy Murray is knocked out of Wimbledon at the quarterfinals as Sam Querrey defeated the Brit, who clearly looked to be hampered by injury yesterday. The result leaves Swiss maestro Roger Federer clear favourite for the men's title.
Sam Querrey won 3-6, 6-4, 6-7, 6-1, 6-1 to become the first American man to reach a Grand Slam semi-final since Andy Roddick at Wimbledon in 2009. Murray led by a set and a break, but the Briton lost 12 of the last 14 games as he struggled physically. Second seed Djokovic needed to win the title to return to the top of the rankings, but an elbow injury saw him pull out in the second set of his quarterfinal against Thomas Berdych. Meanwhile, Roger Federer turned his 100th Wimbledon match into an exhibition as he outclassed Milos Raonic 6-4, 6-2, 7-6 to reach the semi-finals for a record 12th time at the SW19 yesterday. Federer in the third set had to save 4 break points and also went 3-0 down the tie-break before turning on the style to claim the set. He will play Czech Thomas Berdych, the 11th seed in the last 4.
Welcome back. Let's move on to international news now. The world was watching the much-anticipated meeting between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin at the G20 summit. During an interview with CBN Network yesterday, the US President, for the first time, revealed some details discussed with the Russian President. International media, however, reported that the talks did not go as quiet as everyone hoped. Trump said that his lengthy meeting with Putin at the G20 summit was a good sign and showed the two countries can work together on many issues like the ceasefire in Syria, where they share interests.
I mean, I know he said what he wants, but what do you think his game is?
Well, he wants what's good for Russia.
Yeah.
And I want what's good for the United States.
Okay.
Like in a case like Syria where we can get together, do a ceasefire. And there are many other cases where getting along can be a very positive thing. But always Putin is going to want Russia and Trump is going to want the United States. And that's the way it is. And sometimes you're not going to get along on things and sometimes you will. But we had a good meeting. It was a face-to-face meeting. It was a long meeting. It was 2 hours and 15 minutes. Everyone was surprised by the amount of time, but that was a good thing, not a bad thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we got along very well, and I think that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, people said, oh, they shouldn't get along. Well, who are the people that are saying that? We're a tremendously powerful nuclear power, and so are they.
That's right.
It doesn't make sense not to have some kind of a relationship.
U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson met with Saudi Arabia's Deputy Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman today as a part of discussions with 4 Arab states boycotting Qatar. The discussions aim to ease the snub of Qatar since the 4th Arab nation labelled a U.S.-Qatar terrorism financing accord an inadequate response to their concerns.
Tillerson arrived in the Red Sea port city of Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, where he met ministers from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Egypt to seek an end to the worst dispute among Gulf Arab states in 36 years. Kuwait, which is mediating in the dispute and not boycotting Qatar, also sent an envoy. Tillerson also flew to Qatar yesterday to sign a memorandum of understanding between the two countries on terrorism financing. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain and Egypt said the deal brokered was not enough and that Qatar's government cannot be trusted.
Also in international news, the minister in charge of the Brexit says British parliamentarians must work together on the process as he publishes a bill to convert EU law into British law.
The legislation known as the Repeal Bill will ensure the same rules apply in the UK after Brexit, while giving UK parliaments the power to change them. Brexit Secretary David Davis said he will work with anyone to make it a success while facing opposition. Labour Party vowed to vote against legislation unless there were significant changes to the details previously set out. The Conservatives are relying on Democratic Unionist Party support to win key votes after losing their Commons majority in the general election.
Well, let's get the latest on the weather. For that, let's cross over to other Derana's Katharina Chang, who's at the Weather Centre.
A very good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. Now, much welcomed fair weather is expected to prevail across most provinces of the island. However, people in the Sabaragamuwa, Central as well as in the Galle and Madre districts can expect some intermittent rain in the next 24 hours. Meanwhile, fairly strong winds about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected in Hambantota, Bibile, Mahiyangana and Madroya. That is it from the Weather Centre, but let's now take a look at the city-by-city forecast.
And that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. We will return tomorrow first at 9 with the very latest. Be sure to join us then. And before we go, we'd like to take you to our beautiful hill city of Nuwara, a city which attracts both local and foreign tourists, is a haven for tea enthusiasts. Its cascading landscape and mesmerizing waterfalls are very much the subject of photographers and filmmakers across the world. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.